All right, welcome into the Third and Wrong YouTube channel. We got Chris, aka CLew, aka Drop Balls Pod on Twitter. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for responding and letting me have you on. So this video, we're going to be talking about the Colts. We're going to be talking about the quarterbacks at the top of the draft. We're going to be talking about what we think will happen with the Colts at the top of the draft. And we're going to give you some more information about other players who the Colts could target. And we're going to be doing a random mock draft video for you as well. And I'll explain it when we get there. But yeah, welcome into the video. And I guess we'll just hop right into it. Chris, my fans don't know who you are. I don't know too much about you, but how did you become a Colts fan?
Yeah, so it's a long story. Well, I'll try to make it as short as possible. So when I first started watching football, was the Atlanta Falcons and Denver Broncos Super Bowl. That was the first time I started watching football.
What year was
So
that?
I want to say it was around I want to say 98, 97, something
Oh
like that.
man,
Maybe
yeah.
99, maybe 99. But that's when I first started watching football, and that was the first game I saw. And then the next season was pretty much, I watched the Colts and watched a couple other teams, and it was going to be the Falcons or the Colts. It's going to be one of those two teams, and I just rolled with the Colts. Black and red is my favorite colors, but for some reason the Colts just kind of like entrapped me, and I just been rocking with them ever since.
So that's like Peyton Manning, like right before we got Peyton Manning, right?
Yeah, that's right around the time we actually got Peyton Manning. I want to say we got him in like 98 or something like
Yeah,
that.
like 98, 99. I
Yeah.
always forget.
Yeah, so it was right around the time that we got Peyton. And yeah, I just been rocking with the Colts ever since, man.
Yeah, respect that. Yeah, when I was a fan, my family is like pure Boston fans, like from the beginning of it all. But we never had like an NFL team, and so when we were kind of picking our own teams because me and my brothers got into it, the Colts were like because they kind of felt like the good guys, where the Patriots kind of felt like the easy bandwagon team. And so I kind of went on with that, but like Andrew Luck sold me. I like Andrew Luck's my favorite player of all time. And then I have a few other connections, but yeah, that's kind of like where I started like having a NFL team. But yeah, been diehard ever since.
Andrew Luck is, oh man, that's just pain all
Oh yeah,
over again.
dude. Yeah, yeah, I could go into that for a while, but yeah, that's the one that got away,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure.
So, you do a few podcasts. Do you want to just let the people know, and then we can kind of talk about these quarterbacks?
Yeah, for sure. So the main podcast I do is Drop Balls Podcast. Um and so I do Drop Balls podcast, and then that's my main podcast, and then I have the Horseshoe Pride podcast that I do as well, and you can find both of those on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, all of that.
Cool, sweet. And then yeah, his Twitter handle is DropBallsPod. He's definitely active on Twitter, so go and give him a follow. And I guess you can probably start some arguments with him too if you really want. But let's talk about some of these guys for the quarterbacks discussion. I'll go with you. Who is your number one quarterback? If you have the number one overall pick, who would you target?
For me, it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young is QB1 for me. Um, yeah, that's that's what I would go with. I know a lot of people, criticize or not criticize him for his size, but they have concerns about his size, and I think it's legitimate concerns. But I think he's a special talent that you can't really pass up, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I would say CJ Stroud is my number one. See if I can get him here. Nope. There we go. CJ Stroud for me is my number one, and I feel like most people have them one and two right now. Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, so when the Bears were, at the top of the draft, they were the number one pick. I was on the CJ Stroud train. I mean, I still am. Like I love CJ, I love Bryce. Like those are the two 1A, 1B for me.
Yeah,
Um and so and also because what I saw from him at the Georgia game, that playoff game is what I've been waiting to see from CJ his whole college career. But once the Panthers, because I figured, okay, the Bears aren't taking a quarterback. Bryce Young's going to the Texans, and boom, we're right there for CJ Stroud's coming to us. But then once the Panthers hopped up to number one, it was like, all right, man, where do we
he's
go from
gone.
here? Because
Yep.
we're not going to get either one of those. So so yeah, it's definitely, if we don't get Bryce, I want CJ. If we don't get CJ, I want Bryce. It was that for me.
Yep. I feel that. I feel like for me, the size thing, because like you were saying, it is a concern, and I definitely have that as like a big concern with Bryce Young. The only other thing though, because it's not just like about like, oh, he might just get hit too hard by someone, right? Like, Kyler Murray's out there, Drew Brees has been out there, even back Doug Flutie's been out there, But to me, the thing that worries me about Bryce Young is he plays like Carson Wentz in the fact that no play is dead until the ball's on the ground, essentially, or he's getting
Yeah,
sacked. And
yeah,
so for me, like Carson Wentz has been injured every single year of his career, essentially. Like I don't think there's been a year where he's not been injured. And a lot of those kind of quarterbacks that play that way just take too many hits and not
yeah,
like, I'm bracing for a hit because I'm, getting tackled or whatever, but it's like, I'm throwing my body out there and then I'm getting knocked down. And like, it's just to me like worse hits than like the typical like Justin Fields, or Lamar Jackson who's running and they're getting hit in the open field and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
No, I get you.
that to me is like, okay, the size is a concern, but like I think the play style with the size is something that isn't talked about a lot. That's like my concern, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And then CJ Stroud, the reason why I have him number one is like you said, the Georgia game. He like just doing everything, and obviously no one's perfect as a prospect. I feel like, but CJ Stroud showed a lot of growth, and that's what I feel like prospects should show. Is that just like, okay, this is something I'm not good at. Now it's something I am good at. So, and I feel
Yeah.
like Stroud does that. But who's your number three?
So my number three has is Anthony Richardson. He's my number three guy. That if we don't get CJ, if we don't get Bryce, then that's who I would want to get in the draft. And adding Shane Steichen as our head coach makes it a little bit more easier of a pill to swallow to take him at 4. So I've always been of the the mindset that if AR is the guy, trade back because positional value, trade back, or I guess draft value, but trade back to maybe like 6, 7, somewhere around there, and then take AR. I never liked him at 4. But like I said, Shane Steichen makes it an easier pill to swallow if we were to take him at 4, just because seeing what he did with Jalen Hurts over the past 2 years, what he's done with Justin Herbert, when he was over there with the Chargers, it just makes it a little bit easier to swallow since it'll be Steichen as the head coach.
Yeah. What is your like expectation for him year one if we draft him?
Um, Really just to clean up some of his footwork. I don't. I mean, no matter who we take, I don't really have high expectations of the team unless we just put together like some spectacular team around this rookie quarterback, which I don't really see that happening for us. Like we're still maybe 3 years away. So with AR, it would or Anthony Richardson, it would just be to fix his footwork, be more consistent. Well, really be more consistent with his footwork. That's been his biggest issue is his consistency with his footwork. So be more consistent there and improve his accuracy. I think that it for him it's really getting a lot of game reps, live reps, because he didn't have that in college. So for me, year one, it would be let's get you some game reps. Let's fix your footwork. and get you prepared, moving forward as our quarterback.
Yeah. I what I like about Anthony Richardson is I feel like the word is survivability in the NFL. I think that's kind of like the biggest key for a lot of quarterbacks that do have success. If they can survive like 2 or 3 years, they tend to figure it out. And like what I mean by that, you can have a lot of different like ways to accomplish that. So like um, Aaron Rodgers survived because he got to sit behind Brett Favre. Lamar Jackson has gotten a lot better because he survived on his feet. Same with Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. The Justin Herbert, he didn't really necessarily have to like survive. He just was good from the get go, essentially as a thrower, and that's just like the rare exception. That's like the Andrew Lucks and stuff like that, where it's like okay, they're already there and ready to go. And so I feel like Anthony Richardson probably has the best survivability if you were to start him week one because of his legs. I feel like with Stroud and Bryce Young, they have better than the rest of the draft, but they also kind of take a seat back because, like, I feel like if a team puts them out week one, they're going to be relying on their arm, the timing, wide receivers. The game is really fast; it's hard to adjust, and so I feel like, you might get the Zach Wilson effect where it's like, okay, this is too much too fast, and now we're kind of just crumbling the prospect at that point. And so that's
Yeah,
what kind of intrigues me about Anthony Richardson is he has survivability anywhere in the league as long as the team uses him right, essentially. So that's what I really like about him, and I have him as my number three, is what I feel like most people do.
yeah,
But I have two other quarterbacks. I just kind of want to see where you rank them. So with Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, do you have Hooker or Levis as your number four? I'm assuming those are your 4 and 5, but do you have
yeah.
them there?
So with Hendon Hooker, had he finished out the season, then yeah, he would have been my 4, or actually, he would have probably been my 3, if he was healthy. Um, right now, I have Will Levis slightly ahead of him because I know Levis will be available as soon as the season starts. And I mean, granted, Hendon Hooker looks like he's recovering well from the ACL surgery. We still don't know where he's going to be once the season starts. So, but as a talent, I think Hendon Hooker probably would be the third best quarterback in this draft. But right now, I have him at 5, just behind Will Levis, just because of the knee injury.
Okay, would you take either of them at 4? Like
No.
if okay, yeah, if Anthony Richardson's off the board at 3 by a trade up or whatever, you would just pass essentially.
Yeah, I would either go BPA, best player available, or I would trade back. It's one of
Yeah,
those.
that's
I would take Hendon in the second, or actually, I would take Hendon towards the bottom of the first. So, like, if we could find a way to trade back into the first with that 35th pick, and maybe trade up to 31 where Kansas City is. If Hendon's there, then I would take him right there. So that way we still secure that 5th year option with Hendon Hooker.
yeah. Um, that's kind of like what I'm thinking is, and this kind of jumps us into this like next conversation. Yeah, sorry, conversation. I can't speak sometimes, but where what if we don't take a quarterback at 4? And I think this is starting to become more and more realistic of
Yeah,
the Raiders or the Titans or whoever trades up to number 3, and it goes quarterback, 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 and then the Colts are left there like, oh, we don't have our guy. Like,
yeah.
if that happens, who's your number one? Is it Will Anderson? Is it Tyree Wilson? Or Jalen Carter's probably like the other. Those are like the 3 big guys right now.
Yeah. So with Jalen Carter, while I think he's a great talent, I think he has too many what Chris Ballard would consider character flaws, and we know how Ballard is when it comes to that. Um
Yeah,
he's probably not going to draft you. But I think he's a tremendous talent. But there's, just still some questions. Like he was at his pro day, he was out of shape. He came in 10 pounds heavier. Will Anderson, while I would like him to be, and I think Will Anderson is great, but I don't really know if he fits Gus's scheme. I mean, I guess he would be the wide, the Leo, the pretty much wide nine like Yannick
yeah,
was. But the thing is that he's really an outside backer in like a 3-4 defense. That's why I think Will Anderson is better at. Now could he be that rush in with his hand in the dirt? Probably, maybe. Michael Parsons type. Probably. And I wouldn't mind taking Will Anderson actually at 4, but I just don't know how he would fit in Gus Bradley's defense. So I would probably lean more Tyree Wilson, but Will Anderson at 4, I really wouldn't be mad at all.
Yeah, so the thing for me is if Gus Bradley can get whatever he got out of Max Crosby, because that was kind of like his last year is Max Crosby's like big year essentially with the Raiders. If he can get that out of Max Crosby, just what is he going to get out of Tyree Wilson if he's there?
Yeah.
Because he's like what 6'7", 6'8" as
Yeah.
an edge rusher, and I'm going to bring it over here, but like he's just a big, fast, strong dude. He's got arm length like I think probably the longest arms in the whole draft, and just I feel like the tools matched up with the coach is probably the best pairing. But like if Will Anderson is our guy, like I'm not going to be complaining at all because
Yeah, exactly.
he's ready to go right now. So I'm excited. I think those would be the two picks. If not for some reason, then you got to trade out. You got to move down. You got to get value out of that pick, but
Yeah.
that'll be the day, man. If Colts fans get a hold of like the draft and it's quarterback, 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 and then we trade down, oh man, dude, it's gonna be hell.
Oh, they're gonna be
Well,
upset, and
either way,
that's why like my thing was even on Twitter, I'm like, don't be surprised if this happens. We know who Chris Ballard is. He's not going to force a pick at 4. He's not going to be he's not going to force himself to pick a quarterback at 4 if he doesn't have conviction about that quarterback. And either he's going to take best player available or he's going to trade back to we know he loves picks. He values draft picks. And we know with number 4, we can get a lot of draft picks. So
yeah.
yeah, it's not going to be a surprise if he did do that.
Well, and the thing too that makes that pick so valuable is it's the top guy of the rest. Essentially, it's like all the
Yeah.
quarterbacks are gone. Now, who wants the top? The first crack at their guy, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of teams to trade up with. The Falcons. You got the Bears could maybe trade back up or whatever. But that to me, I think gets Chris Ballard excited. Is like, okay, if those three quarterbacks are gone, that would suck. But like if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be shopping this pick, and so that I think that's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, sure.
Before we move on to the next one, what do you think is the chance that he trades up to 3 if that happens? And who would it be for, essentially? If you're thinking that happens, who would it be for?
So if he traded up to 3, I mean, I think the likelihood is if I had to say stay put or trade up to 3, I would probably say 80-20. 80% that we stay at 4, 20% maybe we trade up to 3, and that would be to get Anthony Richardson. And the reason I feel like a lot more confident that Anthony Richardson is probably the pick is because today at his pro day we sent Morocco Brown there. All the other pro days were area scouts, and we know if the director of uh player personnel, like head scout or whatever he is, um, we know if he's there, it's because we have a lot of interest in whoever that school has to offer.
Yeah,
So that gives me kind of a thing. It probably gives me a little telltale that we're leaning towards Anthony Richardson.
yeah. I do think that they're probably is kind of like the same mindset of us, where it's like if there's 3 guys, I think they're going to be happy to take one of those 3 guys. So like if somehow the Panthers or the Texans value Anthony Richardson more than the CJ Stroud and the Bryce Young, then I think the Colts could trade up to number 3 as soon as Anthony Richardson gets taken,
Yeah,
because then you get one of those two. And so
yeah,
that to me is like if it goes Stroud, if it goes Young, the Colts stay. I feel like if Anthony Richardson gets taken, I feel like the Colts might trade up for one of Stroud or Young potentially. And then I can also see them trading up for Anthony Richardson if the concern of the Titans trading up to number 3 is a big deal, because then it's like, okay, we got Trevor Lawrence, we got C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, and then we got Anthony Richardson to deal with,
Yeah.
and we got Gardner Minshew. So, like, that's the thing that's just tough about this is like I feel like it is hard to just stay there and stay put because it's just letting other people's choices dictate our future. And I know a lot of Colts fans get like very upset about that. Like,
Yeah.
why, if you like this one guy, why wouldn't you trade up? Why wouldn't you do that? Well, it's like, well, we're not going to trade Michael Pittman and 2 first-round picks just to get a quarterback that we don't know. Like, that is going to be the home run pick. So,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is just it's tough to deal with as a fan, but I think we got that kind of in our minds that it's probably going to happen that way if we're not going to get a
Yeah.
quarterback at 4. And then the other conversation is if okay, so this is kind of what a lot of people have been talking about now is it's probably going to go CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and then the Cardinals take Will Anderson is probably like the most likely scenario right now. And then the Colts pass on Anthony Richardson, or Anthony Richardson goes before. If all three of those quarterbacks go, what are the chances that the Colts just let go of the quarterback conversation and call up the Ravens and say, "Hey, we're going to take a problem off your desk and try and take Lamar Jackson"? Do you think that could happen?
I think the Colts are weighing that as an option on getting Lamar Jackson. Um, and I mean, I would be ecstatic if we got
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson. My only thing is working out a contract, and I mean, I don't mind giving up the picks for Lamar. Like I don't mind that at all. We already know what Lamar can do. We know he still has room to grow. He's 26 years old, and I think with Shane Steichen, again, like just the way he's developed quarterbacks, I think that the sky's the limit with Lamar. But it would just be one of those things where what are we still going to be able to pay him and build our roster? And that's my biggest thing because we have holes. We know we have holes. We saw it last year. That's the reason we were 4-12-1 because we have holes on our roster.
yeah,
It wasn't just bad quarterback play, it was a lot of things. So would we be able to fill those holes as far as right guard, cornerback now since we traded Stephon Gilmore? I know we have some young corners on the roster, but cornerback, we still need to figure out our edge rush. We still need to figure out our linebacker room because we let Bobby go.
yeah,
So, and we still got to add more receivers. So, would we be able to do that and sign Lamar? That's the question. If the Colts are able to figure all of that out, I'm all in. Like I'm all for it. Like if Ballard can figure that out and be like, okay, we'll give Lamar his 40 mil, 50 mil a year. We'll structure the contracts to still make it friendly to us to where we can still make some roster moves. Then I'm all in. If they could do something like what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, give him the long-term deal to kind of draw out the money. Hey, go right ahead. I'm here
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I think that's the toughest thing with Lamar because I think Lamar, even as a passer, is worth it. Like I feel like he's a good passer. Like
Yeah,
I feel like he takes too much like criticism on being a passer because like he can sit in the pocket and throw it. I don't have any problem with that. He can scramble around and not have to force him running the ball down the field. Like he doesn't always do that. He does it when there's an opportunity for sure.
yeah,
And
and I
like
mean he's a top 5 arm talent in the
yeah,
NFL. Like if you watch him and some of the arm angles he throws from, he's a top 5 arm talent in the
yeah,
NFL. So he takes a lot of heat, and I really don't get it because if you watch
no.
him play, he's dynamic.
Well, so my thing with Lamar Jackson, I've noticed is I'm always on the other side of the mainstream opinion on Lamar Jackson. I feel like because like when he was going blowing up at Louisville, I was like, okay, like he's not all that. Like like I probably was just being counterculture, or whatever. And then when he was going in the draft, I was like, this dude could be really special because everyone was saying he could be running back, he could be wide receiver. I was like, no, like I'm actually rooting for the guy. And
Yeah,
then he goes in, and then it's like all you hear is Lamar Jackson's the next greatest thing, and it's like, okay, I don't really think he's the next greatest thing. And so like I definitely catch myself there, and maybe I'm just biased or whatever, but I feel like with Lamar Jackson, I've had times where I'm like, okay, he can't win in the playoffs because X, Y, Z. But I feel like more than anything, the the way that the Ravens have used Lamar Jackson won't win in the playoffs, essentially. Like the way that they used him is not a way to win in the playoffs. He definitely was able to win a lot of games in the regular season. We've seen that. But the way that he has been used, like they lost like what 4 or 5 fourth quarter leads last year with Lamar Jackson on the field. All right, sorry, we just had a little bit of a moment there, but just going back to Lamar Jackson, way I see Lamar Jackson is someone that is a great thrower, great passer, and I feel like that wedding of Shane Steichen with Lamar Jackson would be elite. I feel like that'd be a good pairing. But that word wedding is kind of what I feel like it would have to be with Lamar Jackson because this is like this deal. If that happens, it's Lamar Jackson is the guy for like he's going to be under contract essentially for the next 6 years, like at least because I was just listening to I think Brett Coleman who was talking about Lamar Jackson's situation and he compared it to Deshaun Watson, and he was saying that like the amount of guarantee that's in there, you don't really get to escape from if for some reason he is injured or whatever reason there might be. Maybe he's not good anymore for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
so you would have to really be married to the idea of Lamar Jackson, you know, being who Lamar Jackson is. Because the thing is like if you try and tell Lamar Jackson, don't take those opportunities that, when there's wide open grass there, or, don't run the ball as much and just be a quarterback, you're not getting Lamar Jackson, you're getting
Yeah.
someone else, essentially.
Yeah.
And so like
And
that deal is not really fair. And then if you're asking Lamar Jackson to be a runner, you might not have him for all the games in the year because he might get hurt. And so you would have to be like just truly married in the sense of like, you have a game plan for how you're going to manage his workload in the regular seasons. How, in my opinion, like the way that Jalen Hurts played in the playoffs is how someone should be able to play in the playoffs to win the Super Bowl. And obviously, he got there and everything, but he was able to throw highly contested, you know, catches or whatever you call it,
mhm.
highly contested throws. He was accurate. He was able to do that in the face of people coming at him and everything like that. And I feel like with the way that the Ravens have set him up is you know, we're going to be running the ball, throwing it to Mark Andrews, and then taking deep shots. And when you're down whatever amount of points in the playoffs, like you have to make progress every single play. And if you have any setbacks or anything like that, like it's so hard to overcome those. And like you have to throw the ball in the playoffs to win.
Yeah.
Or at least to score points is what Shane Steichen says.
Yeah.
Throw
Throw to
throw
score and run
throw to
to win.
score, run to win. Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's just one of those things where if you can get Lamar Jackson and Shane Steichen basically have that perfect match, and he can bring that Jalen Hurts playoff experience to Lamar Jackson. Not saying that he can't do it; it's just we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
That would be worth everything. I wouldn't care about draft picks at that point. Like, F them picks. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, but like what you're saying is if you have any sort of doubt in Lamar Jackson, it's like, okay, because I'm hoping that if we do that, it would be after the 4th overall pick and we get, say, Tyree Wilson or whatever blue chip we end up with. And then it's like, okay, now we need to get a guard. We're going to get people that want to play for the Colts if Lamar Jackson's there. We're going to be okay in the veteran market, I
Mhm.
feel like. But, getting the extra cornerbacks, getting the extra linebackers and stuff like that does limit us because we're going to be paying out for veterans. That's going to, kind of lessen the lower half of the roster. And that, that's where you get in a bad position. And so that's where trading for a quarterback is a lot less valuable than drafting a quarterback that you can build around. And that brings us back to, you know, I feel like taking Anthony Richardson is better than trading everything and making this whole thing happen for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And I mean, so and with Lamar, right? I mean, and I get getting injured, especially when you injure your legs, it hinders his full ability, like his full experience. But what I have an issue with some people is they don't acknowledge that Lamar got injured sitting in the pocket. He didn't get hurt
Yeah.
when off and running or any. He was sitting in the pocket to make a throw, and he got hurt. I mean, both years, 2021 and 2022, sitting in the pocket, and that's how he got injured. Um, but like I said, I do understand with his legs, being injured, it takes away the Lamar's effectiveness. Um, and I do get what you're saying about, rather take AR because, rather than sending those picks and, leveraging your future for Lamar Jackson and just go ahead and take AR, which could possibly be the closest thing to Lamar Jackson. But my thing is, we know what Lamar is. We don't know what AR is or what he can be. I mean, we have an idea of what he can be, but is he going to reach that potential? But we know what Lamar is right now. We know what he can do in the NFL, because we've seen it. We've seen him be a unanimous MVP. We've seen this from Lamar. And granted, that was 4 years ago, but we've still been, or 3 to 4 years ago, something like that. We've still been able to see him play at a high level. Um, we hope we can get that from AR, which if we take AR, man, shoot, I'm all in again. Like
Oh
I'm all
yeah. Yeah.
like I'm here for it. Um, but one thing I did think about was like if we were able to keep, like, let's say the board didn't fall how we wanted it to fall, and we were sitting there at 4. We go Will Anderson. We go, uh, let's say we go Will Anderson, or we trade back and we take a Christian Gonzalez because we need a corner. Take a Christian Gonzalez, or take a, what's the dude from Maryland, Deontay Banks,
Yeah.
Joey Porter, one of those guys in the first. Then we get Hendon Hooker like in the second, or at the end of the first, trade him to Baltimore along with the 2024 first and the 2025 first, and get Lamar in return. Um, to me, because I still believe there's value in the rest of the draft at offensive line. Because you have a guy like Andrew Voorhees who tore his ACL during the combine, and you can pick him late, in one of the late rounds, stash him away for the following season, sign a veteran to maybe like a 1 or 2 year deal to let him, to give Voorhees that chance to get healthy. Um, I don't know. I've thought a lot about this, man.
Oh yeah.
I've said and thought a lot about this just in case, like all the different scenarios that could possibly happen. And that's why I think Colts Twitter, Colts Facebook, they just they're just so one-sided. We got to get a quarterback. We got to get a
Yeah.
quarterback. We got to get a quarterback. And they never sit and think out of the box or think in a way like, okay, maybe this could happen.
Yeah.
Maybe this can't happen. Because if you bring that up, they try to crucify you, man.
Oh yeah.
I swear
Well,
they
and the thing is too, like you could bring it up and it's just a conversation. Like it doesn't have to
exactly.
be like, oh, this is for sure what I believe, 100%. I'm gonna die on this hill. And
Exactly.
that's where I feel like that would be the strongest thing is, if for some reason you get the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud at 3 or 4, like great. I feel like that's a great move to go up and
Hmm.
trade for, or somehow sit or whatever. But when we talk about this, we got to basically say, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen before the 4th overall pick, and that would be whatever top 3 quarterbacks that we want are gone, and
Yeah.
now we're just left out of it. The other quarterbacks that I want to mention, if we say for some reason we don't want to trade up into the first round, because Hendon Hooker is coming off an ACL, he's 25 years old and has been in an offense that isn't an NFL like relatable offense really.
So
So
I say, and I don't mean to
yeah,
cut
yeah,
you
yeah,
off,
yeah.
but I
No,
say
you're
for
good.
people that say that about Hendon Hooker, I tell them to go look back at his Virginia Tech tape.
Okay, yeah,
Because
that's
yes,
fair.
Heupel's offense does not translate to the NFL.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But what he did at Virginia Tech, I think that translates a little bit more to the NFL than Heupel's did. And he did really good at Virginia Tech. He progressed pretty much every year he was there. That's the only
okay,
thing I say. That's the only thing
yeah,
I say when it comes to Hendon Hooker. But yes, he is 25, ACL injury,
yeah.
all legitimate concerns for sure.
So like say that doesn't happen, and so the Colts don't want to trade up in the first round for whatever reason. Even like the Tanner Mickey or whatever, who's kind of talked about as like a first round or fifth round
Yeah,
pick.
yeah.
Um, I think someone that I feel like the dark horse in this all for some reason is Dorian Thompson Robinson. And like I feel like that's just like a joke almost because like what has he done almost? But like he has a lot of these traits, these skills. He was the guy for what 3 or 4 years at
Yeah.
UCLA, if not longer. He is a little bit older, but he still has legs. He still has a great arm as far as like strength wise. I don't know about his accuracy so much, but he kind of fits into that same style of big arm, great mobility. Okay, what can we get in between all of that? Because the in between stuff is more what the NFL is about. And so, if for some reason Dorian Thompson Robinson or DTR is that guy, I don't think anyone's taking him in the first round, and I don't think anyone's taking him before us in the second round. And to me, the counting on the trade up to get Hendon Hooker is a tricky thing because there might be other teams that like that idea too. It might not only be the Colts that want to get a Hendon Hooker later in the first round. And so, it might be that Jordan Love situation where when he was coming out, a lot of people thought that the Colts would trade up into the last part of the first round and take Jordan Love
Yeah.
because Ballard was like the first GM that was like outwardly in favor of Jordan Love. Like he was probably the guy that got Jordan Love any attention essentially. And the Packers went and took him. And so it's like we could do that, but also someone else might be thinking the exact same thing. And so whenever I see like my biggest pet peeve on mock draft season is those one team only PFF mock drafts where they trade down 2 or 3 times. They get Mark Andrews, they get Lamar Jackson, they get everything in the world, and then they still get the like Anton Harris and just like this like whole boat of draft picks. It's like no one thinks that's gonna happen. This is just stupid. We
Yeah,
can't be doing this.
I've done one where I pretty much traded where I traded the fourth pick away and I got all of the Raiders draft picks for
Yeah,
2023.
yeah.
All of them in in one thing.
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous, and like you can just make things up and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like whenever I see those, I'm like, why even engage with this? This is just dumb. But that's where it's like okay, there's so many things that can happen. But
Yeah.
okay, so let me play the scenario to lead up into the other targets that we could be targeting in the second round. So say we land our quarterback with the number one pick, whatever happens, Lamar or other. Who are you looking at in that second round to kind of help fill out this roster? Maybe it's a need, maybe it's just really good value that you think might be there.
Yeah, so there's really a couple players that I feel we could get in the second round. Really starting with the I mean, if we're gonna because we need to revamp our offense. Like we know that we need a guard. So if was Osiris Torrance, if he's there, I think that's his last name.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
the
yeah.
guard
You're
from
good.
Georgia, yeah,
Hmm.
the guard from Georgia. If he's there,
Or
take
Florida.
him. Yeah, Florida. My bad,
Yeah, yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
Yeah. If he's there, then I would definitely want to take him. The guard from TCU. Uh,
Steve Avila.
yeah, Avila. I was going to butcher his last name. Yeah,
Yeah.
Avila. Then I would take him for sure as well. If we want to go defense, I would go Will McDonald. Add him from Iowa State, I believe.
Yep.
There's the other one. There's two more. There's one from Northwestern and there's one from K State.
Oh
I
yeah.
the African dude.
Adebawore from
Yeah,
Northwestern, and then Felix Dunike Uzama from Kansas State. Yeah,
yeah. See, you got the names down.
yeah, dude.
I,
I've
I
been
was gonna I was
practicing.
gonna butcher them. I was gonna butcher them.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
don't
no,
know Adebayore's first name. A lot of people just call him, A squared or whatever. But
yeah. So those are three that I would love to get in the second round. If there's a corner there, like let's say I, I know this isn't going to happen, but let's say
yeah,
a Joey Porter Jr. falls, or let's say a Deontay Banks falls to 35. I
Cam
would be
Smith
cool.
is also very intriguing to me.
Yeah, Cam Smith. I would be cool with any one of those. Um, I know Devon Witherspoon ain't falling. I know Christian
No,
Gonzalez
yeah,
ain't falling, but yeah, those guys, they're intriguing to me. And let's say we can somehow trade back into the second. I would love Julius Brents from K State as well. So
So okay, so I bring this up because I tried to watch the Julius Brent's tape. Other than the size, do you like what you see on the film, like the size and the speed? Because like that's like a big traits thing for Ballard. I get
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but like on the tape, do you? Because like I had a hard time finding things that I liked about Julius Brents on tape.
Yeah, it's for me. It's really the size and the speed, and because I know Gus Bradley loves the bigger, longer corners,
Yeah,
and so with to me with like a Gus Bradley, a Pete Carroll, Dan Quinn, they're really good because their technique is a lot different you know what they teach their corners. The technique is a lot different,
yeah,
and you see that when they were all with the Seattle Seahawks, and you see they got some corners in there that they had been corners all their lives, and they they came and went. But
yeah.
then you had someone that was a raw talent that
Drake
converted from
Woolen.
receiver. Yeah, Tariq Woolen. You had Richard Sherman. Like they converted from receiver to corner, so they were still kind of raw, had some footwork, but they were able to pick up what they was teaching. And so that's where I think I would like Julius Brents. We cover three, coverage, things like that. I feel like he would excel in Gus Bradley's system.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, there's other ones out there for sure that are a lot better than Julius Brents,
yeah.
but that's why I would want him because of the size and the speed.
So like this is like a humble brag, but last year I was saying that the Colts were probably going to take Tariq Woolen in the second round, just because like that exact conversation, right? And he just goes in like the fourth or fifth round or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I just missed on that one. And then he's like up in the defensive rookie of the year conversation. But like that's
Yeah,
more of
I
a
was
credit
high.
to Seattle and their scheme and stuff like that. So
I was high on him, and I was like, yeah, with his traits, his vert, his 40, his size, this is a Ballard guy. Like this
yeah,
is a
number
Ballard
yeah,
Gus Bradley guy.
oh yeah,
Like let's get him.
yep,
And Seattle took him, and I live in Seattle, so like I'm texting some of my homeboys who are Seattle Seahawks fans. I'm like, man, y'all took the guy I wanted. I'm going to
yep.
go play. I'm like on my way to play golf, and I'm texting them like, bro, like y'all just took him. Like y'all don't know what y'all got. Why did y'all take him?
yep.
And then he came out and had the season that he had. I'm like, dang, man, if he could continue to develop this way, then you have your Richard Sherman back there again.
Yeah,
Just a faster version.
yeah. And so okay, so Julius Brents, Cam Smith, some of the corners that like just kind of fall there.
Mhm.
I like Will McDonald. I like Felix, and I like Adebawore. I was trying to think if there was someone else that I was kind of interested in. Like the Josh Downses would be
Yeah.
interesting. I think we're good on tight end though. Like I think we're good there. We don't really need to stretch that.
Yeah,
You
we got a
know,
lot of tight ends.
Jelani Woods is a more athletic Darnell Washington that didn't get the hype because he didn't play for Georgia.
Yep.
And then there was someone else. I just feel like there was someone. Anyways, I'm down with all those kind of picks, and that's where it's like we're almost getting like a late first round pick, anyways, with one of those top picks. And
Mhm.
so, if we for some reason end up with an edge in the a blue chip player instead of a quarterback with our first pick, I would be happy to trade up and get a Hendon Hooker, whoever we end up falling in love with. The only other guy, just because I live in Utah and I've seen this guy play, is Jaron Hall out of BYU. Have you seen much out of him or?
So I actually started watching some of Jaron Hall stuff last night, actually.
Okay, yeah,
Because I've read some places that the Colts have some interest in him. They kind of compare him to like Jalen Hurts,
Russell
and
Wilson almost.
yeah, yeah. And so I started looking at some of his stuff last night, and I mean he doesn't have the strongest arm, but he can make some throws. He's pretty he's pretty dang fast
Oh yeah.
at the quarterback position. And he can move. So I don't know if I take him in the second,
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I could honestly see the Colts going that direction as well.
So the thing about Jaron Hall is he's also older, like a Hendon Hooker. He's also
Yeah,
had
he's
some
like
injuries.
25, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
also had some injuries. He's married, has a kid, I think, stuff like that. So like to me, I feel like he would be a good pro quarterback, if that makes sense. Like he would be a good pro. Like I don't think there'd be really any issues. Like I think, got a good head on himself and stuff like that. But I view him as like a an ideal backup for Russell Wilson or Jalen Hurts because I feel like he could kind of be molded by either of those two guys. But I could also see the Colts going quarterback number 4 with say Anthony Richardson, and then cutting ties with Sam Ellinger and getting Jaron Hall as a QB3 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can see that down the road.
Yeah,
But
I could see that.
I do like Osiris Torrance, Steve Avila. I'm sure there's a few other guards that I just cannot understand offensive line tape as well, just because I haven't been like told how to watch that. Essentially, it's hard to pick it up. But I just usually trust a few different guys that I like on the offensive line. But yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see what the Colts do. I'm I'm expecting. Okay, I think we probably said this, but like I'm expecting the Colts to strike out on a quarterback at number 4, and then either trade for Lamar or trade up into the first round for a guy. And I think that Tyree Wilson will be our fourth, or the first overall pick for us, the first round pick for us. Sorry. What's your kind of like? This is the most likely scenario.
So for me, I do think we get a quarterback at 4. I think that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah,
But again, I can see exactly what you said. Like I can see it. I see it both ways, to be honest. Or even not even a striking out at 4, but just not
passing.
picking a quarterback at 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, like because again, I don't. We know Chris Ballard, and he's not going to be pressed to make a
yeah,
pick. Like he's just not going to do it. That's what we've seen for the past 6 years. And granted, uh while we say like he needs to make this pick, he needs to get this quarterback pick right, and he needs to take a quarterback right now. If Chris Ballard doesn't want a quarterback at 4, he's not going quarterback at 4.
yeah.
um
I feel like
Now
that's
will it
just
cost him
so
his
tough for
job?
people
I
to
don't
chew
know.
on.
Yeah, it's hard for people to chew on, but we've seen it for 6 years. And granted, we've seen his free agency approach for 6 years too. And me of all people, because I thought like, oh well, this year he has to put something together because it could cost him his job. Maybe he'll be more active in free agency. Nope. Like
Yeah,
we're still the same old Colts in free agency. So he's not he doesn't move fast to do anything. Um and if he's not sold on the guy at 4, he's not going to take a quarterback at 4.
yeah.
So I could definitely see it from that standpoint where either we strike out, we just don't take one, or we go Anthony Richardson or Will Levis at 4.
Okay, yeah. I think that's kind of like the balance right there of the two. I think just the two sides. All right, so this is the random mock draft that I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to try and give a quick explanation so that way we're not lost while doing this. But I have a random wheel that I've loaded with different positions that we can draft from and different outcomes as well, like a trade or picking players from certain conferences or side of the ball, essentially. And so try to match it to what's likely going to happen with the mock draft. So that way we don't get 10 quarterbacks and 10 running backs in the first round. That's just not going to happen that way. But there is also one selection. I won't say it, but it has a 1 in 450% or 1 in 450 chance of being selected. If that happens, we'll throw a party or something like that. But just kind of a little fun thing to add in there. But the way that we're going to do this is we're going to add, or we're going to have Chris here. We're going to trade off picks 1 and 2, or even evens and odds. And whatever the wheel says, we have to choose a player from that category, essentially. If it trades, we'll come up with a trade that works. So let's
Sounds
kick
good.
let's kick this off. Oh, that was really close to it. So first off is the trade, which
At the
We'll
top
see
of
if
the draft.
yeah, the Panthers already traded there. Okay,
So the Panthers
so
didn't know what they wanted, so they want to trade back now.
yep. So who are they trading with?
Let's make it fun. Let's trade with the Colts.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm down. All right, let's find a trade that is gonna work here. 1 and 2, or maybe yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't do trades for some reason. Oh well. Well, I guess we'll have to do a different one here. We'll hide that choice of a trade. Sorry to kind of give you a little bit of hope there, but let's pick another one here. No trades. All right, quarterback. This actually fits pretty well. Um, so we'll move off of the trade here. But looking at this, I think CJ Stroud's their guy. That's who I would pick. So I'm going to take CJ Stroud.
Okay.
All
I
right.
feel like that's their guy as well.
Oh
I
yeah,
yeah.
it seems that way. We could be getting all sorts of smoke screens.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
all right, the Houston Texans have to take the top tackle on the board.
So would that be Peter Skoronsky?
This is up to you, man. You get a pick. Who do you feel like
Yeah,
is the guy?
I think it's Peter Skoronsky.
All right, I like that. Peter Skoronsky, number 2 overall. Great pick. Let's go. See, for the Arizona Cardinals, we get to take an interior offensive lineman. Just beautiful way to start this draft. If we're going interior offensive lineman, I'm scrolling quite a bit. But I personally like Steve Avila a little bit more than Osiris Torrent, so I'm going to go Steve Avila here.
Okay.
All right. You got the Indianapolis Colts at number 4, taking
Let's go Indy
defense.
defense. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's go Will Anderson.
Will Anderson. I like it. You know, who needs a quarterback when you can just take other people's quarterback's head off?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Number 5, Seattle Seahawks on the board, and they are going to get a defensive end. So, you know, I feel like this is about kind of what they will do anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go with Tyree Wilson here. I think he's kind of the next best. So we'll go Tyree Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks. And we're going to throw it over to the Detroit Lions at number 6.
Let's go Detroit. Dan
Hey,
Campbell.
you get your choice.
Oh man. Okay. At
Anyone
number
you want.
6. Um
We got
let's
a
go
Bryce Young. Okay.
Devon Witherspoon.
Devon Witherspoon.
They need some corners over there.
Alrighty, I like it. All right, number 7, Las Vegas Raiders on the board. See where we land here. Ooh, we get a choice again. Can't be mad about that. If I'm the Raiders here, I'm taking Bryce Young. I mean, you got Jimmy G, but, you know, not often you get to take potentially a top 2 quarterback when you need
That's
one.
a fact.
So Las Vegas Raiders get Bryce Young sitting at number 7. Gotta love it. Your Atlanta Falcons, your second favorite team, interior defensive lineman.
Oh, let's go Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Next best guy on the board.
Yep.
Feel like he fits pretty well with just having people on that defensive line. They got a good set of interior defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is the number 9 pick, the Chicago Bears, and they get a defensive end / edge is kind of what we're going to be going with here. I'm going to go with Lucas Van Ness. I feel like Nolan Smith is very intriguing here, but I'm going to go Van Ness mainly because of the size, versatility.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep, number 10 overall pick. Okay, not too bad. Offensive tackle.
If we're going offensive tackle, then DeJuan Jones. That's his
Ooh.
name, right? The one from Ohio State.
Paris Johnson and yeah, Dwan Jones, yeah, from Ohio State as well. Dwan Jones,
Actually, Paris Johnson. Let's go
Paris
Paris
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing this Paris Johnson highlight when he was in high school,
Mhm.
and he just bullied dudes in high school. He was a big dude. But we got the forever rivals Tennessee Titans on the board taking a wide receiver, which is some people have this happening. For me, I do like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm actually really down on Quentin Johnson. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're not the only one. I've seen a lot of
okay,
people down on Quentin Johnson for
yeah,
sure.
it's just reminds me too much of N'Keal Harry to really be solid on him. But yeah, I'm gonna go in Jigba. I typically go with Addison as my number one, but I feel like in Jigba here, I think he fits a little bit more because they kind of have that number one guy, the Traylon Burks,
Yeah.
and I feel like Jigba plays off of him a little bit more than Addison might. But we got the number 12 Houston Texans getting offense, so they got quarterbacks on the board that are not completely out of it. Got Anthony
For
Richardson, Will Levis, and the rest.
just for the Texans, I'll give them Will Levis.
There we go. I like it.
I do not want Anthony Richardson in our division if it's
No.
not for the Colts.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. We got number 13 here, New York Jets. I still think they keep this pick. I don't think it's going to Green Bay.
Yeah.
And they get their defensive end. Let me pull this over. And so we're thinking this with Robert Saleh in mind, really. Because I feel like Nolan Smith might be that guy, but just want to make sure that we're not just missing on Miles Murphy. That's kind of like the other guy. I'm going to go with Nolan Smith. I think he has more position flexibility. Fast
Yeah.
dude, can cover some tight ends if he needed to.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Number 14, New England Patriots, also forever rivals. They go offense.
Mm.
Anthony Richardson? Just kidding.
Nah, I'm going to give them Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer. Okay.
Yeah.
Baby Gronk fills in for actual Gronk.
Yep. Michael
I
Mayer.
like it. Michael Mayer. They moved on from John Smith, so there's kind of a little bit of an opening there.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, number 15, Green Bay Packers go defense. So they got a lot on the board here for defense. I'm going to go Christian Gonzalez, though. Kind of pair him up with Jair Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. Just with all the other people that have been off the board. Get kind of the best player left. All right. Number 16, Washington
I hope
Commanders.
they don't get offense. I hope they don't get offense.
Ooh, corner.
Yes, let's go. No offense. Joey Porter Jr.
There we go. I like it. One of the things I really like about Joey Porter, I feel like having your father play in the league before you get in there is a big deal. So I
Yeah,
like
it
that
helps
out
him
of
out a
him.
lot.
I really think he lands with the Ravens if they don't trade Lamar and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where everything is right now. But number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers. Ooh, my choice. I like that. Let's see. A lot on the board here, too, for him. Deontay Banks does answer a big need for them. But they also have a need for tackle as well. And I feel like that might be the bigger one. So I'm going to go Broderick Jones for them.
Out of Georgia.
Out of Georgia, yeah. I think he's in that conversation for being a top tackle. I think him, Paris Johnson, and Skaronski
Yeah.
are in that conversation. Again, I don't know much about offensive line, so I count on other people's opinions for that. But Detroit Lions, they get a offensive player.
let's see. Uh, Dang man, I'm trying to think. Um, if we're going offense, you know what? Give them Anthony Richardson.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, give them Anthony Richardson. He can sit behind for a little bit and learn and go from there.
I think that's a good landing spot if all this happens, but I
Yeah.
just don't know if that's going to happen. Number 19, the Buccaneers get to keep Baker Mayfield forever, and we get a cornerback. Deontay Banks is kind of the guy then, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like a solid pick there.
yeah. I think you could potentially argue Brian Branch as a slot corner, but he's listed as a safety there. So
Yeah.
number 20, Seattle Seahawks. Let's see where we go. DN.
The end. Whew, man. I think yeah, since we're going DN, I think Miles Murphy there
Okay,
for the
I
Seattle
like that.
Seahawks.
Miles Murphy. I feel like he has a chance to actually go there too at the end of it all.
Yeah, if they don't take Will Anderson or anybody like that at 5,
Yeah.
most definitely.
All right, number 21, Los Angeles Chargers go tight end. And I actually think this has a good chance, technically. I do think they prefer wide receiver, but Dalton Kincaid's there. I can see them liking him a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Number 22, the Baltimore Ravens are on the board.
Send us Lamar Baltimore
Yeah, do it. Send it.
for the cheap.
Oh, yeah. You don't need that problem, but they get a tackle here.
All right, so let's go Anton Harrison from
Anton
Oklahoma.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Like that. All right, let's move on over. The Minnesota Vikings, I believe, are 23 on the board. And they land another cornerback.
Dang. Well, they need one, so
Yeah.
that'll help.
I mean, this is a run on corners so far.
Yeah, it is.
But my guy here, I'm going to go with Cam Smith. I really like him in zone. I feel like he has really good instincts for that
Yeah.
and good recognition. So I like him as a zone corner a lot. I don't know if that's what they're playing with Flores, but Flores does really well with corners.
Mm-hmm. Who was it?
Okay.
24 Jaguars. Offensive tackle. Oh
24.
man.
Yeah. They're getting some bottom of the barrel picks too.
Yeah. I guess the next one would be DeJuan Jones. So I guess we
Yeah.
would go with him. Yeah.
Big boy.
Yeah, that dude's huge, humongous.
Almost too big, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, number 25, the New York Giants are taking defense. So let's slide on over defense here. You know, I feel like I like Brian Brissy more than I like Kalijah Cansey. I feel like Kalijah Cansey is more productive in college, but Brian Brissy is just super young. He's got the size that is going to be good. Pairing him up with Kayvon Thibodeau will be nice too. So I'm going to go Brian Brissy here. All right, number 26. Number 26, we got the Dallas Cowboys on the board. See where we get them landed on. Hey, we got your choice.
My choice. Oh man. See, my girlfriend's a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I got to make sure this is a good pick.
Yeah.
If we're
Hey,
going Dallas,
we got
Cowboys,
some wide receivers here, man. We got some wide receivers.
You know, I may have to go. Oh man.
Bijan Robinson, maybe?
They do need a running back, but do I want to take him that early?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Let's go Bijan. Yeah, let's go Bijan Robinson.
The Cowboys fans will like that, I feel like.
Yeah, they'll love that. Keep him in Texas. They'll love that.
They'll make a lot of money in Texas, too.
Yeah.
We got another choice, and this is for the 27th overall pick for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, at this point, like, I feel like Jordan Addison would be super nice for him.
They definitely need a solid number
But,
two.
the thing is I feel like Jordan Addison's kind of more on that, um, what's his name? Stephon Diggs style. Not like he's the same level, but like he's on that same style.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe adding a Zay Flowers, getting a little bit of a deep threat, more of a weapon style wide receiver might be nice.
yeah.
Plus,
Zay Flowers definitely.
he played in New England, so he's kind of more used to the weather than Jordan Addison might be from USC.
That's
So
true.
I'll go Zay Flowers maybe.
Yeah, I like Zay Flowers to the Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
All right, number 28, Cincinnati Bengals go offense here.
It's not like they really need any more receivers.
No, they did
They have
not really.
three. But if you're letting T. Higgins walk, then actually, you know what? Let me see. Yeah, if you're letting T. Higgins walk after this season, I like Jordan Addison to Cincinnati.
Okay. And I mean, maybe he just takes off Tyler Boyd as well. Tyler
Yeah,
Boyd's a little bit older.
yep.
I like that. Can't hate it. A little bit of embarrassment of riches there for him. All right, number 29, New Orleans Saints trade Sean Payton to the Broncos, who held this pick, and they get a offensive tackle. So this is just scraping, man.
Gotta dig deep for this offensive tackle.
Matthew Bergeron. Here, let me just pull up just straight tackles. Ooh, okay. Darnell Wright, I feel like actually fits pretty good here. I'll go Darnell Wright.
Yeah, can't be mad at that pick right there.
All right. Eagles' second pick at 30 overall. Who did they get before?
Defense.
Paris Johnson.
Paris Johnson.
So they get an edge here.
If we're going edge here,
so we got Will, we got Felix, BJ Ojolari, and Adebawore.
Give me Will McDonald.
Will McDonald.
Yeah.
They're just adding some sack masters over there.
Yeah.
I think they'll walk away with at least one edge in the first round if they don't trade out of it.
Yeah. What, they got 2 picks in the first?
Yeah, 10 and
That's
30.
That's crazy. They was in the Super Bowl and they got 2 picks.
Well, and they got that pick for letting the Saints trade up for Trevor Penning, like late in the first round too. So
yeah.
Just Saints things. All right, number 31, last pick of the draft. Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs get a interior offensive line. So let's see. I guess Cyrus Torrance is your guy at that point, right?
Yeah, he has to be at that point.
He has to be. So yeah, let's look at this this first round pick here, or the first round mock. So right off the bat, we got 2 out of the top 3 picks being offensive linemen. Not gonna happen.
I mean, shoot, what you got 4 of the top 5 picks being all in the trenches.
Yeah, for real. Wow. And then Bryce Young to the Raiders, staying put at number 7 is beautiful. Let's see, the Texans getting Will Levis is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Let's see here. We got Anthony Richardson to the Lions. We got Bijan Robinson going to the Cowboys. Zay Flowers to the Bills. Jordan Addison to the Bengals. Some high firepower right there. And yeah, I mean the Colts getting Will Anderson I think could happen for sure. But a lot of this board, I just don't know if it's gonna happen this way. But I do like this because it kind of shows like, okay, like I feel like these people are the first round guys for the most part. Quentin Johnson and some of these other players that got left off, they might creep up into the first round, but for the most part, these are our first round guys.
Yeah.
Other than maybe DeJuan Jones, and then like the last couple picks, but what's the best pick here you think, other than like maybe a quarterback pick?
I was gonna say CJ Stroud has to be the best pick.
Oh yeah,
Um, let me see.
because I feel like
Maybe
the other.
Tampa.
Oh, sorry. Go.
Maybe Tampa getting Deontay Banks. I think that's a very underrated pick.
Yeah,
Um, Washington getting Joey Porter Jr. Also because like their corners weren't that good last year, and we know what their pass rush can do, but their corners were bad. And then also, I know you said not a quarterback, but Anthony Richardson falling to the Lions at 18,
that would
I
be
think is
so
a
good for
really
him.
yeah, that'd be a really good pick for them.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, but I feel like oh, there was something I was gonna say, but like Devon Witherspoon to the Lions, I think definitely can happen. Tyree Wilson, Will Anderson, I feel like 4 through 6 could actually happen.
Yeah.
Um, but what I like about this like mock draft is one, like it just is going to be as accurate as almost any other mock draft is going to be because who knows what's going to happen. Because I like to look back at these at the time of the draft and just say, okay, is any of these actually even close? But um, I some of the players that I'm starting to really like here are players like Nolan Smith, Joey Porter Jr., Cam Smith, and Jordan Addison are kind of like my guys in the first round that I feel like I'm higher on than
Mhm.
most people. But who do you feel like you're higher on than most people? If that makes sense.
Um, Deontay Banks for sure. Uh, everybody loves Zay Flowers. Everybody loves him.
Hmm.
Um,
I think probably Will McDonald from what it sounds like.
yeah, yeah, I do like Will McDonald a lot. Um, yeah, so I would probably say Deontay Banks and Will McDonald. Those are the. I mean, because I feel like everybody else are, everybody else people are pegging in the first round, like you said.
Hmm.
But and not too many people. I don't think there's a lot of people high on Will McDonald or Deontay Banks because you don't really hear their name come up a lot. So for me, I think it's Deontay Banks and Will McDonald for sure.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up there because we've talked a lot, but we got talking about the Colts, we got talking about what might happen with the Lamar Jackson trade. Real quick before you go, if Lamar Jackson is not a Raven, do you think he's a Colt or other team? Like, what would be your most likely? He's not a Raven. He's a this team.
Um, if he's not a Raven, it'll either be the Colts, the Lions, or the Falcons. And I understand both of those teams have already said they're out on Lamar, but we saw a lot of this last year when it came to Deshaun Watson, and everybody was working behind the scenes. So I think it would be one of those three teams if he's not a Raven next year.
I think it's going to happen after the draft, though. I feel like for Lamar Jackson's sake, I think he wants it to happen after the draft, most likely, because
Yeah,
you're going to take your team to a higher level. You want your first round pick next year to be as low as possible, essentially. So
yeah,
I feel like that's in the mind of Lamar Jackson. And so I'm expecting either draft day, like first round, it happens, or after the cards are, shuffled, then, then that trade is worked upon. But I think most likely he ends up getting a contract that he likes, whether that's with someone else or with the Ravens, and then he ends up eventually being a Raven. So, but yeah,
yeah.
but thank you for being on this video. Appreciate that. Um, Real quick before we go, if you want to just plug your podcasts again and your Twitter, um, go. Yeah, you feel free to do that.
All right, for sure.
It's a little
Now,
awkward there.
not yet. Thank you for having me on again, man. I, greatly appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. If you all want to check out my podcast, it's Drop Balls Podcast. It's on, like I said, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all of those. And then Horseshoe Pride, we record, I believe, every other week. So on Fridays. So we're recording tomorrow. Um, and you can check that out on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify and Google Podcasts. So be sure to check those out. Really good content. I have to get more consistent with the Drop Balls
Hmm.
podcast, but it's still really good content. Um, not to toot my own horn,
Yeah,
but
I feel like
also
you
you can
deserve it.
also you can follow me on Twitter at DropBallsPod. I talk a lot of trash. I troll, but I also talk ball. And I can talk it with the best of them. I like to believe. Uh, so yeah, follow me there. Have a lot of fun on Twitter. Say a lot of crazy things sometimes. Some things come true, some things don't. That's the fun. That's the fun about Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I endorse that. I follow Chris on Twitter as well, and he definitely is very active with a lot of people talking shit. So I like that. That's what I like to see. So
For sure.
yeah, definitely give him a follow. But also, if you stuck to the end of this, that means you like this kind of content. So feel free to give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely helps us out as a small channel growing. Other than that, hope you enjoy the off season and the draft as well. It's gonna be a fun time.
Definitely, definitely. I'm looking forward to the draft, man, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you later.